Another day, another disappointment for Bike Exchange, pacing for Groenewegen for little reward. Critérium du Dauphiné Stage 5, 162 Ks, finishing in Chantre, and it had three little climbs close enough to the finish to be a cause for concern for Bike Exchange, and also offer an opportunity to Wout van Aert and Ethan Hayter for INEOS and Jumbo-Visma once again. This was a replay almost of Stage 2 the other day. Breakaway went. Strongest rider in it was Benjamin Thomas. We saw Schoenberger in the break the other day with Roland. He was strong. And again, this is not a replay of the other stages. Chris Harper pacing for Jumbo-Visma, keeping it at 2 minutes 1:30, and Bike Exchange smiling at this point. The domestiques, it's a minute 20. The gap to the breakaway was 70 k's to go, but it would be Ineos smiling a little bit later. And this break did not get caught so easily. It went back out to 2 minutes just before these little climbs started. The Col du Bois Clair. Not like serious climbs, but you see Ineos moving up on the right-hand side with Filippo Ganna after Bike Exchange been pacing. The gap, as I said, it's 2 minutes to the break. And Ganna, as they turn onto this climb, absolutely, well, I was about to say lights it up. More of a steady, hard tempo, and it's not firing riders off the back who might have been pacing. Groenewegen was able to hold on the first climb, but it put Ineos in a good position to be first into the next subsequent climbs. Because as I said, these climbs aren't as long as the other day. They're more difficult to drop riders on. You see Quickstep moving up, Jumbo-Visma as well. We're now into the descent in between these climbs, and actually Quickstep, I think Steimler must have been pulled so hard and there's a little bit of road furniture. He pulls and has Catania on as well. I don't know if this was a planned attack. I don't think so, because Catania is close on GC, and it would have been for Amaury or someone else if that was the case. And Catania decides to just straight troll Filippo Ganna and lets the wheel of Steimler go. And that just makes Ganna's life a lot more difficult. He's got Amador rather, on the wheel. Kwiatkowski's there. De Plus had been pacing. And so there's the next climb. And you see the positioning. They didn't drop that many riders on the first climb, but now look at where riders are out of position. If Groenewegen's deep in that bunch, if he slid on the first climb, he's going to be that much easier to drop on the subsequent climbs, and it's narrow. You see Benjamin Thomas had to recorrect into that corner. It's hard to catch the break and put time onto them on the flat. Jumbo had only used Chris Harper up to this point. No Benoit on any of the flat sections, keeping the break even tighter. And you see they finally send Groenewegen forward. They did so the other day. And he really puts the hurt on Groenewegen and the other riders, lifting the pace and helping out Ineos. And if Jumbo didn't help Ineos here, there's no way they do catch this breakaway. And here, Groenewegen is dropped once again, and again is wondering why he isn't at the ZLM Tour. And probably his teammates, I mean, the morale must be pretty low, I think, in the Bike Exchange team camp, one would think. Not getting many opportunities to go and breaks themselves, and no reward so far on the Dauphiné. But the break became the next issue for Ineos and Jumbo-Visma. Groenewegen's gone, but it's still 40 seconds to catch the break. They crest the final climb, and 35 seconds. It's not like it's a flat stage, a flat run-in where they should be able to mop that up easily. This is a fast, technical run-in where they really, like the other day, just like the other day when Kenny paced really hard on the final climb, but Trek weren't helping today, they're not putting any seconds in the first 2Ks of this chase. And you see Benoit, he goes and talks to Laporte, says, again, he does that hand thing, and Laporte nods in the affirmative. But Benoit doesn't go forward straight away at this point. He doesn't go forward. It's still Ineos pace, and the gap's not moving. Ganna's tired. Remember, he paced with 17 Ks to go on that first climb, and they send Groenewegen for once again. I was thinking, this is going to be a replay of stage 2 once again, and to be honest, it really nearly was. I still don't think this is the optimal way to do this, and I think Benoit looked back once again, 1.5 Ks later, and you see, I think, and Laporte says, yeah, go forward, because you quickly see another 1,500 meters later, but he had slid up on the Groeneweg's wheel, waiting for him to finish his pull. Benoit moves forward, so Benoit was only used to pull one and done. He didn't do consistent pulling, Ganna style, or like Groenewegen or Harper. He just did one big pull and put 7 seconds into the break. But when he pulls off, Ganna's done here at this point. Ganna's not really moving the needle. He pulls off, and Kwiatkowski's thinking, we are not going to catch this. You see, I don't know what Hayter's saying, I think, to Ganna. I don't know what he's saying. Saying, get back in the rotation. Or Kwiatkowski's like, we do not have the numbers right now. And Dunbar wasn't really pulling. Maybe pulled really late. I don't know. Geoghegan Hart definitely pulled late. But you see here, it's either Jonas or Roglic. One of the two moves up. And for this break to be caught, Jumbo-Visma used first Jonas Vingegaard, the second guy basically on provisional virtual GC, no disrespect to Catania, and then Primoz Roglic is the man who's second favourite for the Tour de France, a huge favourite for GC here, was pulling to catch this break. And I think this is not a huge problem for the Dauphiné and the space between this and the big mountain stage on the weekend, but in my opinion, they can't do this in the Tour. You just cannot have Roglic pulling, or Jonas either. Even though I'm sure the temptation is there that, well, how much can it hurt and it can help Wout get a chance to win, you just cannot do that against Pogačar in the Tour. And actually, I do wonder if Benjamin Thomas had kept pulling. I think he skipped a pull between 1200 or 1300 and 600, and you'll see that the breakaway actually is in the same formation 200 meters later. No one really took a pull. I do wonder whether this break still would have won. Thomas probably with the strongest sprint, but he went with 400 meters to go, and Laporte is the man who actually held back Jumbo-Visma, and it cost them the other day, and today it didn't. He pulls back this break, gets their draft, which is really important as he then looks to, well, I think Mercu would have gone across to the left barrier, and then given enough space on the left barrier for Wout van Aert to slide through. He does that a bit after his pull, and there's a bit of a mix-up, which you'll more clear in the overhead. Drops Wout van Aert off, though, with 150 meters to go. It's a crazy lead-out anyway from Laporte. Really good lead-out, and INEOS just cannot catch up with Wout van Aert. But you see, nearly disaster for Jumbo. Laporte tries to put Wout through the open side on his right-hand side, but Wout obviously wants to go to the barrier and close off at least one angle off his shoulder, even though he opens it back up to INEOS on the left-hand side. And Laporte and Wout nearly clash, and this ended up being quite close. INEOS with the good bike throw. This is only a third or a quarter of a wheel, but Wout van Aert very appreciative of his teammates both after the finish and in his interview afterwards, which you'll hear in a second. Wins the stage ahead of INEOS, Hayter third, Bosenhagen fourth, Page fifth, and Sturven sixth once again. Here's what Wout had to say after the stage.
Like a nervous final. I mean, in the beginning it finally looked like the first controlled stage. I thought we had the breakaway in check, but then they started to speed up and we kept losing ground. So in the final kilometers I was stressed. It was again just too short to catch them, but I have to thank all my teammates. I know everybody is saying this after victory, but I mean, if you watch today, all 6 others were there for me, and it makes this victory even more special. Luckily, I had Christophe with a master pull in the end, and then before I asked the boys to do everything they could, and yeah, if even our GC guys of 60 kilos are pulling in the front, then you know you have to finish it off.
Here's the GC standings. Wout van Aert extending his lead, now over a minute lead on Catania, and to the next to Caruso, he's 150. I still don't think that's enough personally for that final mountain stage, and it should still all be obviously on Roglic and Vingegaard for GC, but a good win for Jumbo-Visma today after a few disappointments in this race. It'll be interesting to see how another similar stage like this plays out again tomorrow. Will INEOS keep going with Hayter, or will they try something different with Ganna, Kwiatkowski, riders that can be a little bit aggressive on this sort of parkour? Until then,